And now back to your regular programming.
If you speak better to yourself.
You showed up for probably the dumbest conversation we've ever had on this show.
Let's have that smile again.
Tell me how that happens. Physically should not happen.
Relax.
If you say it
Give me as well.
3 times a day, God will line it up.
He's just an absolute hack, and he gets his ass kicked by his teammates every week. It's just terrible.
Welcome back to Hack City. Joe DeLeone, Sean Anderson, 2 former college football players from the University of Rhode Island. And today we're going to be recapping and instant reacting to the craziness of college football Week 9. Plenty to get to before we jump in. Sean, just a quick word from BetOnline.
Yeah, if you had odds on me getting sunburned by the northeastern sun, you would have hit your bet. Regardless, basketball fans, it's that time of year again. The NBA is back from opening tip-off to buzzer beaters. BetOnline has you covered with the best odds, biggest promotions, and live in-game betting for all your favorite teams. We do a lot of college football betting, hitting bets, missing bets. We're doing it at BetOnline. They have every stat, matchup breakdown, and live odds to bet on during games. And it's not just basketball or college football. You got MLB playoffs, NHL's getting kicked up. You got political props. Head to the website today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, the game starts here.
Sean, I want to start off talking about the Texas A&M LSU game that just wrapped up as Texas A&M blasts LSU 38-23, a game in which it felt like LSU had a pretty strong hand at halftime and that they were going to coast their way to a nice, easy win. Not so fast. Mike Elko dials up the defense as they completely took over in the second half of this game. The biggest piece for me, and this was a big catalyst for it, their ability to switch from Connor Weigman to Marcel Reed and to take over because LSU could not handle the running ability of Marcel Reed, I think creates a potentially extremely dangerous quarterback combination that will be hard for opposing defenses to prepare for on a week-to-week basis. They have this ability where if what Weigman does, which is more piece you apart, take deep shots, drive the ball over certain parts of the field because he's a big arm, pocket passer, good athlete, but is the more pocket passer of the two. And if he can't work and they're getting after him, and they're playing good coverage, whichever defense it is, they switch to Marcel Reed. The run game opens up. The floodgates become too much for an opposing defense to keep up with. I don't think that anyone can come away from this game for sure saying Weigman's done, Marcel Reed's taken over. Marcel Reed played phenomenally. We need to use our ball-knowing caps right now and put them on and realize that there is going to be, from Colin Klein, some serious creativity in deploying and using the both of them because they're both talented. They've both played tremendous games. The second part, that defensive line is one of the best in the SEC. The secondary played phenomenally. They're hitting their stride. This Texas A&M squad feels worthy 1,000% of being one of the representatives for the SEC in the playoff, which I don't think anyone would have expected in the first year under Mike Elko. For anyone, and it couldn't be me because I thought this Elko hire was phenomenal. For anyone who thought that this was a bad hire and they should have gone with Mark Stoops, y'all are stupid. This man is a ball coach, and he knows how to get a defense right.
Elko's an absolute gangster. You're right on there. You know how I feel, and I believe you typically share some of the same sentiments about having 2 quarterbacks rotating in and out in a college football system at this part of the year. It can only work in college. This isn't an NFL thing where you could just go in between quarterbacks. And maybe once every 3 to 5 years, there's a team that can really pull it off. If Texas A&M is that team, they're that team. We've complained about Oklahoma not being indecisive. We've seen the rotating door at Michigan and how ineffective that has been. If Texas A&M's deciding our best shot is to have Marcel Reed rush for 3 touchdowns and have Connor Weigman go 6 for 18 and 64, not a good day for him. Not great. I'm always in favor of a team making a decision and rallying behind one guy. But this Texas A&M team, they have been a team that has been hard to figure out. You never really know what's going on in College Station. There's always the cult accusations. There's always the weirdness going on there. So maybe it just fits. Maybe this type of chaos works for them, and it works because they have a true grown-up as a head coach in Mike Elko and not Jimbo Fisher doing whatever the hell he thinks is right week to week. So if you want to counter the chaos with the stability, that's the only way I come out of this positively for Texas A&M. It is a big win, and LSU has been having some crazy games, being ranked at 8. It may be deserving, but they've been teetering all season, and this is what we saw. LSU finally steps up to a team that is ready to meet the occasion, and they get blasted.
I think a lot of people were naturally just waiting as Texas A&M was at the top of the SEC standings for a long period of time. There was a lot of people that were just expecting, the floor is going to fall out. This is temporary. Everyone else is going to catch up. That hasn't happened. This is a huge win. I do think it's worth noting that LSU, the reality of what they are as a team, I think is definitely setting in, which is they're super aggressive on defense. They kind of live and die off of we're going to send a ton of pressure and hope that we can get a turnover, because that was how they played in the first half, and that was what helped them in the first half. And then eventually, when they couldn't stop the run, they were on their heels, and that defense doesn't have the personnel yet to be a shutdown, get the ball back, finish out the game, run the football, any of that stuff. They can't pivot and change the momentum of the game if they're on their heels. They're just not built like that, like a Georgia would be. I got to also say for this LSU squad, there's a lot of people out there that keep propping up Garrett Nussmeier as this draft prospect. Yeah. A lot of people today. A lot of people were doing it in the first half, and I didn't think he did enough in the first half for a lot of people to circle take their victory lap. First of all, never take the victory lap in the first half. You never, ever wait until the game's over. You could tweet about it, and you could say, wow, I really like that X, Y, and Z from Nussmeier. Share some clips. Be a totally normal person. But don't take the victory lap. I saw some idiot posted his quarterback rankings and said, well, I knew to have Garrett Nussmeier at number 2. And then he quote tweeted it later and said, oh, I might move him up to number 1 over Cam Ward. That's just unbelievable, unball knowing and not knowing enough about the fact that the game shifts and changes the way that it does. But dude, Nussmeier's got a big arm. He doesn't have the touch as a deep ball thrower to succeed consistently, despite having a big arm, but the decision-making, it's abysmal. I keep coming back to Ryan, co-host Ryan Roberts of the First Team, who's appeared on this show plenty of times. Compared him to Mac Jones, and he plays exactly like New England Patriots Mac Jones, where things aren't working around him, the run game's not working, I'm going to poop my pants and throw an interception to a DB or a linebacker that was kind of sneaking around and then just kind of dipped his way in and stole that pass. I mean, that was the craziest one, easily the craziest one, which some people might argue like, wow, that was just a really good defensive play. You got to have the awareness to see that dude is just waiting and breathing down your neck. He's literally in front of your face. Not a good game for Garrett Nussmeier.
I have a lot of thoughts on Nussy. Through the first half, I was wondering genuinely, am I being trolled by national media members, people that I respect that talk about college football? And this is going to sound, I'm really going to hope it doesn't sound negative about Nussmeier, because it's not his fault. It's the irresponsibility of people that have a platform in college football, hyping and juicing this guy up, glazing him because it has a big arm, it can roll out and throw across his body. It's irresponsible because he's just going to get hate. He's just going to get hate after this game. He threw 3 picks, 405 yards. That's fine. But you're just setting this kid up who's not what you think he is. He's not 2019 Burrow. He's not whatever you want him to be. And you keep on pushing him, and it's just going to add pressure. It's going to add more tension with the fan base because you're setting unrealistic expectations for a average to good SEC quarterback. And that's brutal for him because he does have a big arm. He has helped and made some big time throws this season, but he's not that dude. And people that keep on trying to make him that dude hurt him. You know what he does, Joe? He plays Priori ball. He plays Vito Priori ball, a teammate of ours where he's got 2 very good wideouts. He's got 2 very good wideouts. It's not a knock, Joe, but Aaron Anderson and Kyron Lacey are legit, okay? And if it's just, I'm going to keep on throwing the deep ball to them, 50-50 ball, and they're just better than the other DBs they're going against, that works. but it's a different level of analysis and game planning for a quarterback if you're just going to say we might have the advantage on the outside with these uber talented wide receivers. It's different. He's not winning the games on his own back with critical decision making. He's tossing up jump balls to the talented guys.
Now, Texas A&M's resume was bolstered, which means there is a bolstering of another team's resume. That, of course, being Notre Dame. Now, as a Notre Dame fan and as somebody who covers Notre Dame for Bleacher Report, make sure to check out those mid-show streams and post-game streams that I do on the Bleacher Report app. Sean, I am annoyed by plenty of people that are just ignoring this game, just pushing past it. Again, first of all, Texas A&M beating LSU. Oh, it is sweet, sweet justice. It's sweet justice just for the LSU fans who clowns on us any opportunity that they get, that we give them. And we beat Texas A&M at home in the first game of the season. Don't care that was Mike Elko's first game. Don't care. Means nothing to me. Don't need that context. It's unimportant. I'm just pushing it aside.
Come on, man.
But I am not saying that this Navy win today, in which they won 51-14, is some remarkable, amazing win. I said this a ton on every show, every radio spot that I did, that this is a handout of a ranked win that gets to get thrown onto the resume. It 1,000% is. Navy hadn't played anybody. They looked really good. They're a G5 team. You kick the shit out of them. That's great. All I'm saying is that I think that Notre Dame is doing what they need to do to finish out this year when they don't have any signature tough opponents. They're blowing everyone out. They're dominating everybody. They're smoking everybody that they're going through. That's what they have to do to leave no doubt for the committee if they finish the season 11-1. Putting together performances like this against offenses that were some of the best in the country to completely dominate them, shut them down, hold them to 14 points, hold them to 310 total yards of offense, hold them to 200 yards rushing, which was low for them so far this year. They're playing great ball. I'm not saying Notre Dame wins the national championship, but it was very annoying today on Twitter to see the amount of people that were just taking the quick push away and be like, oh, of course they're acting like the Navy game's all big. No, understand the context. Stop taking things at face value for once and actually analyze and read into a situation.
I've taken some flack on this show, especially as I have at times spoken about Notre Dame in jest. But I feel like one of my strengths personally as a college football analyst is that I don't have any rooting interest or bias for a specific team, and I can look rather objectively. And after the incident,
that's questionable.
I said Notre Dame is not done. They need to win decisively. 50 burger after 50 burger. They need to keep on winning with style. This is a goodwill game. Navy, if we're going to be memeable about Navy when they're good, you also have to take the grain of salt with it and say, if you were calling them good, you have to respect when Notre Dame comes in and beats them by 30 plus points. Is it hilarious that Notre Dame could be bailed out by beating Navy when they were ranked? Yes. It's one of the funniest seasons I've seen from this team.
It's even funnier, too, if Notre Dame gets in and they're going to have Navy and Army as their two of their ranked wins. And then the third major one that they have is Texas A&M. And then there's a world where LSU misses with a 9-3 record. And the debate ends up being, does Notre Dame or LSU deserve to get in? And I mean, I'm telling you guys right now, anyone who tunes into Rufino and Joe show, when that debate happens, I'm rooting for it, will be the most cataclysmic argument that might end that show. That show might end after that episode, after the argument that I'm going to have.
I'm going to have to be
Blake.
Called in as a mediator to counsel you two.
No,
after that
no,
one.
we need body blows, just full on, no referee.
Oh,
I'm rooting for that because that is going to be an amazing argument. As a lover of great arguments, I need that to happen.
Look, for Notre Dame, we're still pulling the boat. You know, we're still moving in the right direction. I am trying to keep this house afloat.
Stop saying we.
I'm trying to.
You just said you don't have a rooting interest. You have no rooting interest.
I've got a rooting interest in my pal being happy.
No, F you.
What is this?
F you. All of the
I want you
times
to
that you
stay
have
up.
called me and berated me while I've sat and watched games alone in the dark.
Doesn't sound like me.
You're an ass.
I'm just saying.
You know what? I'm cutting you off. You're done talking about Notre Dame on today's
Marcus
episode.
Freeman's the guy.
I'm taking-
Extend him.
I'm
Extend
cutting-
him for
no,
5 years.
You're done. The timer's done. I'm not letting you ruin my night. I'm already tired. It's been a long day. I'm not letting you ruin the rest of my night. We're moving on to another team that's based in Indiana. Sean, Indiana got a huge win today over Washington at home. And I know some people might be thinking 31-17, huge win. What are you talking about? Y'all forget that Taven Jackson stepped in for Curtis Rourke, who was down with a hand injury and will be out for a few weeks. Now, Taven Jackson didn't have a crazy 400-yard passing game, but he did exactly what I predicted on a number of shows in this show in my betting preview for why this was one of my picks, that he was going to do enough that this offense wasn't going to take a step back. More importantly, Justice Ellison gets the job done on the ground. Tyson Lawton adds in another 40 yards, which is one of the most underrated running back duos in the country, and especially in the Big Ten with all the other great running back duos in that conference. They're running through teams. They're running over teams. I am still on this boat, like we said last week. This is another strong resume building win. This is a good competitive Washington team. I really, really, truly believe that they have put themselves in enough of a trajectory to make the playoff. They would need to have a cataclysmic meltdown for them not to make it, in my eyes.
Your boy Will Rogers, it's his season today. 202 yards, 2 picks. I know you've been high on him.
The most frustrating person to have conversations with, or frustrating player to have conversations with people about. I
know you've got a love-hate
Where am I going
because
with
he's a big dumpy quarterback that's massive, and I know you love those
he threw
guys.
up a whole bunch of air raid yards and did nothing else. I had to listen to Josh Fisher 2 years ago coming to the office. My dark horse. No, actually, it wasn't even a dark horse pick. He's like, my Heisman pick this year, Will Rogers.
He didn't say
and,
that.
and I know, and I didn't even do the.
Joe, he did not say that.
He did. I didn't even do the whole like, I don't know, man, which I don't do often, by the way. I usually tell people straight, face value what I think, and I don't BS around it. But I was very adamant. Will Rogers stinks.
Oh, come on.
I was like, you're out of your mind. He's not as good as you think he is. He had an inflated stat line, and you're making this into something that's not there.
Indiana, though,
What a score champion, Will Rogers. Sorry, go ahead.
Indiana, what a machine.
Cousin of Cam Rogers.
Hey. Hi, I'm Will Rogers. I'm going to go I'm 6'8". I'm going to take the field and throw hospital balls all game.
6'2", he's small.
Oh, God. Indiana's a machine. The 1 pass touchdown, 2 rush touchdowns, a defensive touchdown. That guy Signetti just wins. We all saw the big graphics that were coming out last week. Oh, that's great. Yeah, okay. He wins. He does win. He continues to. Welcome to the Big Ten, pal. 8-0. What a homecoming. And all that talk preseason, when he was sitting in that arena talking about we're coming for everybody, he made a big statement. We're coming for the top of the Big Ten. I'm not here to dick around. And he's not. What a baller. To call your shot and then end up 8-0, rolling through the Big Ten is great. And having a really good indicator of depth on a team and a strong offense is having the backup quarterback come in and be solid. Taven Jackson, not great, but he knows the offense and he's solid.
He's young,
and he can win games. What else could you ask for a young quarterback coming in? I don't need you going out here lighting the world on fire. Wait, this isn't a Tua, Jalen Hurts, whatever, who have big-time quarterback that ends up going to the NFL stepping in type situation. This is Indiana football. We need a guy that can matriculate the ball down the field and make the right decisions, and Taven Jackson did that. That's great coaching. That's great depth. It's belief in the team and whatever guy is stepping in at whatever position. If the right tackle went down today, I would assume that the right tackle coming in next week would come in and do his job properly. It's just a team that evokes great confidence. And I love what Indiana's doing. They should have beat Washington. They should have beat them by 10-plus points. And they did. It's finally a team with some consistency in college football. I love it. I love being able to know Indiana's coming on. They're going to win. Good pick on the bets for that, Joe. 1 and 2 for you this week.
Screw you.
Yeah, that's fair.
What did you go? 1
I
and 2?
I went 2-1.
Houston didn't hit.
Yeah, BYU and Penn State did though. Yeah.
Whatever, lucky week. Next game that I want to get to, Sean, the outcome of Alabama and Missouri. And I got to be completely blunt here. I mean, this outcome does nothing for me. Brady Cook barely plays. Drew Pine comes in and plays exactly like I remember Drew Pine at Notre Dame and also Arizona State and whatever other, just name a random school he probably played there. He's 45 years old. 6 for 12, 42 yards, 3 interceptions. The reason why I say that this doesn't really mean anything to me, it's a great win for Alabama. It's a nice notch in the belt. It's a nice palate cleanser. You won 34-0. You start to feel better about yourself. Defense plays great. Take advantage of an opponent while they're down. That to me is something that good coaches do. That when you see an opponent is reeling, you don't take them too easy. You go right for the throat. You finish them. You close out. Game done. Get in and out of there. We're going to go to the bars after the game. Not actually making a stupid joke. The point I'm trying to make here is, though, this was a shitty Missouri team in the situation that they're dealing with. Brady Cook, they needed Brady Cook on offense. He is, and their offense hasn't been great this year, has been the only capable ship captain that can keep this thing moving. When he went out against Auburn, their offense was dead. It was donezo. They couldn't move the ball. This Missouri team was super overhyped in the preseason. They shouldn't have been ranked coming into this game, frankly. They probably should not be ranked after this game with the way that they played. All it means for Alabama, again, quick palate cleanser, move on. I don't think anyone can watch that game and think they're back in the SEC championship conversation. They're back in the playoff conversation. There's still a ton more work that needs to be done.
I would agree, but this is a massive, I'd say this is a massive get-right game for Alabama. They needed a win with style points in the worst way. And it seems like DeBoer and company.
I just don't know. I just don't know how you can call it style points when you won. But you won because the backup quarterback who's never been good threw 3 interceptions. Is that style points?
No.
Because the team couldn't do anything.
It's style points.
Took advantage of them.
It's style points because that's what classic Alabama would do. They would get 3 picks. They wouldn't let them middle around. They wouldn't dick around against this team. 2 field goals, 4 rush touchdowns. Classic Alabama. They threw it back. All that the comments about they care about TikTok. All the comments about they're not unfocused. Saban would have had these guys in hell in the locker room at half. All of it. I think it got back to them. They said, "All right, let's just go be bullies again." And they bullied Missouri today. Did I have expectations of Missouri doing jack squat in this game? No, not an ounce of expectation for this Missouri team to keep it close. But did I think Alabama was going to pull off some classic vintage stuff like they did today? No, I thought it was going to be maybe a little bit sloppier. It's good. It's a good win. Get back on track. Do what you've done historically well. You still have the bodies. You still have the talent, and they executed that. I like what I saw from that team. They could have rolled over. They could have been sloppier, and they weren't.
All right, quick thoughts, quick shouts here for the remaining important scores to know, just to rip through these so that we can give just quick analysis on these as we usually do on these shows to wrap up. First big score, Oregon, number 1 Oregon, who stuck me in their hype video for this game completely out of context. They pulled a quote. No. The most out of context quote. The title of the video was Oregon football will blow out Illinois football. And they pulled the 10-second grab of me and Blake saying, well, here's the couple of things that Illinois does nice. Let's give them a little bit of credit here and not be total dickheads. That was obnoxious of them. I'd love to know which goober did that on the social media team. Outside of that, though, 38-9 was the final score here. They continue just to hit this final stride of the season, man. They are started slow. They didn't peak, but they're starting to peak. They're starting to ride momentum. They're starting to work their way up. They're hitting that real true pushing point where they're going to ride it to real successes. They're kicking the crap out of everybody.
Illinois isn't a slouch. Don't let this score make you think that they were. Altmaier's been having a really good year. The team's been playing well. All right, so 38-9. This is a good victory. This isn't your Notre Dame Navy. Just throw a ranked win in there and we'll just calculate it at the end. No, this is a quality ranked win, in my opinion. Illinois, not a disappointment. Oregon, they are peaking. I think you should be more excited for Dylan Gabriel
Peaking's
to
not
be
the right
on the Giants.
Peaking's not. Stop it. Peaking's not the right word because, and I shouldn't have said peaking because peaking sounds like they're stuck and when you say peak, the only way that you can go is down. The peak of a mountain, you're at the peak, and then you're going to go down on the mountain. Peaking's not the right word. They are ascending. They're hitting that upper level of momentum where it just continues to build and build and build. That's what the real description here. You started the season slow. Now you're hitting your stride. It wasn't in week one like some other teams that have completely fallen on their face. Like Missouri's the perfect example of it. Tennessee's the perfect example of it. That's started hot and really cooled off in the middle of the season. Other couple quick big scores that we noticed this week. Penn State, Wisconsin, 28-13. Not much to take away from this because Drew Aller goes out. Bo Prabula comes in. Prabula is the more athletic of the two, fits more of the play style of Kotelnicki on what he likes to do with quarterbacks, and he used him perfectly to that. I like to see more Bo Prabula. I know that they bring him in a ton of like really creative sub-package situations. I think they should keep getting more design snaps for him. Get Aller off the field. Get him a breather every so often. The run game is so good, and I think Prabula maybe adds an extra layer that makes them even more dangerous.
Love seeing Singleton and Allen both average over 4 yards per carry. Allen actually 7.8. He was phenomenal in this matchup. Wisconsin's fine. They're fine. But Penn State, I'll say this. If Penn State and Georgia played each other, we could see the most gorgeous second half of football ever created. Neither team wants to show up in the first half. There's no reason for Penn State to have been down 10-7 at half. There's just not. And all the Penn State trackers, all the Penn State pundits and fans, they've been noting it all season. And I'm not going to say this week wasn't without distraction for Penn State. This show doesn't necessarily get into those deep issues. But still, the continuation of slow starts for Penn State will eventually hurt them. They will eventually play somebody where they can't dig out of the hole. Where they can't just momentum or athlete their way out of it. If another team stays focused and really decides we're going to play the second half like the first half and not let Penn State get back into this, they will lose. They are susceptible to that. They need to start faster. They need to get hotter quicker. They can't just keep sleepwalking through the first half.
I didn't get good eyes on this game because we were at the Rhode Island football game. I was tracking and watching Navy, Notre Dame, and Washington, Indiana at the same time. Was trying to watch the end of this as well. A lot of overstimulation while also having a million people come up to me and ask what the scores were of these games while they're happening. Ohio State 21, Nebraska 17. Close one for Ohio State. Scrappy, close performance for Nebraska, as it seems just from the box score and from some of the highlights that I was able to catch. Ohio State, though, you would expect them to play a little bit more of a blowout game in this situation at home.
They still can't run the rock. For Ohio State can't get it going. 64 yards on 31 carries today. That's abysmal. A 2.1 carry average. That was supposed to be their bread and butter this year. We're bringing in Quinshon Judkins. We have a really good back in Travion Henderson, but we can't get these guys moving upfield vertically. We can't get the push on the offensive line. They're not coming off the blocks well. That is an issue. That is a definitive, tangible issue for them. One issue that they don't have to worry about is having an elite wide receiver. Jeremiah Smith is a stud. Target him more. 3 catches. Get him more catches, please. He's phenomenal. Get him more catches. Get him the ball. He is the offense right now. For Nebraska, though, 1 win away from being bowl eligible. They get that bowl, I think, first time since 2014 if they do. That's a successful season. I know Colorado has dominated the news cycle of when are they going to get back to the bowls? How are they going to turn it around? Nebraska's been on a sleeper of a bowl drought, and if Rule and Raiola can get them going and they get that bowl win, or they just go, that's a success. That is immediate, tangible success. I like what I'm seeing from the Nebraska program and the direction they're moving, even in a loss.
Lastly, before we get out of here, Texas 27, Vanderbilt 24. Texas felt like they were playing with their food a little bit. I do really think, though, that it does need to be said, it does not feel like this Texas team is as dominant as everyone painted them to be, and this is yet again proof of it. Credit to Vanderbilt for playing them close and to try to surge back when there was a pretty big gap between the two teams. But I do stand by It did not look like Texas. They're supposed to be heads above a mid-tier SEC program, and they're playing around, and this game was close throughout most of it. There's a lot of just silly mistakes. When you have that opportunity to close out the game the way that they did, and you can't finish, it really creates worry for me. They're not at that level yet. They are not at the premier SEC program level that so many people thought that they were at the beginning of the season.
Last week after the Texas-Georgia game, we came on here and yelled about Sark's decision before half to put Arch Manning in the game. And we explained what the fallout was going to be. And I'm already seeing articles. Is it time to put Arch in? It's going to be every single week for this Texas team is going to be a microscope on Quinn Ewers and his performance. And when are we going to get Arch in? Is Arch going to save the team? Is he going to do it? Probably not. If you threw him in, probably not. This game they probably don't win 42-7 if Arch Manning plays this game. Vandy's not bad. Good God. And that's what you do when you make a knee-jerk, impulsive decision with a very high-name recruit. You throw him in a game on a massive national spotlight versus Georgia, and now everyone's aware. Everyone has got an opinion on when Ewers has to come out, when the leader of the team, the number one quarterback of the team, when does he get pulled for the young riser? It's going to be week after week of this nonsense, and unless he's going 40 for 40, 350 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks, you're not going to hear it. It's frustrating. I thought it was a bad decision, and it's going to keep on compounding week to week.
At Joe DeLeone, at Sanderson Radio, at Hack City Pod. We'll talk to you folks later. We'll be back later on in the week.